Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I have some exciting news to share with you. This just came out February 9th. I wanted to wait until Monday to get this information out, hoping that more people will see it. I'm going to ask you now to please hit the thumbs up and let the video run. This may or may not apply to you, but for those that it applies to, we can all agree these are some deserving veterans. So please watch the video, let it run, and hit that thumbs up. Two important things. Share it with a buddy if you can as well. All right, so here is the headline. VA proposes rule. Okay, now we all know about how the VA proposes rules, right? There's rules all the time that they're proposing. So they're proposing a rule to extend presumed, which is for your presumptive conditions, presumed areas of exposure to Agent Orange and other herbicides, making it easier for exposed veterans to receive their earned benefits. So, what are they saying? They are saying the presumed areas of exposure. Now, if you remember a while back, it was you had to set foot in an area like Vietnam. You had to be boots on the ground. Didn't matter if it was for an hour or 2 years, right? You had to have had boots on the ground. Then they expanded it, as they should, with the Blue Water Navy Act that they did, where they extended out 12 nautical miles from shoreline. Now they're talking about the presumed areas of exposure and extending that for Agent Orange and other herbicides. So let's dive into it a little further and see what we got going on besides me being super bright. All right, let's work on that. All right, so here we go. Today, the Department of Veterans Affairs issued a proposed rule outlining plans to expand the locations and timeframes for which VA presumes, okay, locations and timeframes, okay, those are two pieces of that getting service connected for that presumptive. You must serve in a specific area within a certain time period. So, interesting. So, expand is a great word in the VA's arsenal here. Expand is broadening it for us, which makes qualification a little bit easier. All right. So, plans to expand the locations and timeframes for which VA presumes exposure to Agent Orange and other herbicides. If this proposed rule becomes final, VA will implement a new presumption of exposure to locations where herbicides were tested, used, or stored. I can't tell you how many times I have heard people say, we stored it, we had it, we were working with it, it was all over the place, and we're having a hard time getting approved. So this is great. So tested, used, and stored outside of Vietnam. Specifically, this proposed rule would add locations in the United States. I've heard it 1,000 times. A full list of the U.S. locations where Agent Orange was tested or stored, Canada and India, to the existing presumptives for Agent Orange in Vietnam, Cambodia, Johnson Atoll, Guam, America, Samoa, Korea, Laos, and Thailand. A presumption of exposure means that the VA automatically assumes, now stick with me, keep watching, this is what's going to help, and there's going to probably be some action items here toward the end. And again, look, whether this impacts you or not, this is one of those, it's the right thing. So, a presumption of exposure means that the VA automatically assumes that veterans who served in certain locations were exposed to certain toxins. Presumptives lower the burden of proof required to receive disability benefits, helping veterans get the benefits they deserve as quickly as possible. This expansion of presumptions will help veterans who served in the specific locations receive health care and benefits for certain cancers and chronic conditions. To be eligible, a veteran must have served in the identified locations or location during a specific time period and currently have a condition presumptively associated with the herbicide exposure. So like I said, if you served in a specific time period within a specific geographic location, so like Vietnam's the easiest one. So Vietnam, during the Vietnam 1968, right? You're in Vietnam. That is good for that piece of the pie. Then you must have a service connectable condition under the presumptive. So one of the presumptive conditions listed, we'll just say hypertension, high blood pressure. Then that's all you need to show the VA. I have hypertension. I served in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and they grant you your service connection. So let's move on here. It's almost over. Delivering world-class health care and benefits to toxic exposed veterans is a top priority of the VA. As part of the President's pledge to serve veterans with military toxic exposures over the past few years, VA has expanded presumption or presumptive service connection for more than hundreds of health conditions related to toxic exposures under the PACT Act. And then they go into a little bit more of that, and that it's the largest expansion of VA care and benefits in generations. Thanks to this historic action, the VA is delivering more care to more veterans than ever before. So let's move on here because, again, I think there's going to be a couple action items for us to take home. This proposed change would make it easier for veterans exposed to herbicides who served outside Vietnam to access the benefits they so rightfully deserve, said the VA secretary. Our goal is to provide every veteran of every era with the VA healthcare and benefits they deserve, and this is another step in the right direction. Veterans who want to file an initial claim for herbicide-related disability can visit the VA's website or use the VA form 21-526EZ. That's the application for disability compensation. Or you can work with a VA-recognized veteran service organization, an accredited rep, always suggested, to assist with the application process. I will throw in, which they did not, if you're even thinking about it, just call the VA's phone number and tell them that you want to put in an intent to file, ITF. They will preserve that date as your effective date as long as you file your claim within 1 year. So that will buy you the time to get all your stuff together. And if it takes you a month, it takes you a month. If it takes you 10, it takes you 10. So let's move on here. This proposed rule also codifies provisions in the PACT Act, the Blue Water Navy Act of 2019, and the National Defense Authorization Act for 2021. You can go to the Federal Register, and you will see on the Federal Register that they have put this up there with a publication date of 2/12/2024 publication date. And it says here, comments must be, I'm looking over there to read it, comments must be received on or before, it says insert date 60 days after the date of publication in the Federal Register. So 60 days past the 2/12 date. And I will keep an eye open on the best way to submit any sort of comments. There's usually a contact person or place. Here you go. Jane Allen. For further information, Jane Allen, and you can contact Jane at 202-461-9700. Again, 202-461-9700. And you can ask Jane, hey Jane, and I'll be calling her as well, where can I put in public comments on this? And so with that, thank you so much for watching. I imagine this one will move fairly quickly. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.